Hello everyone, Ninja Nick back with another round of this League Cup in Port Ewen, New York, at POW Card Games and Comics. We have myself here on the left playing the Gardevoir deck that we saw in the last round, and we have our friend Alan, the Arceus lover, who told me he was going to play Lugia this day, which is half the reason why I played Gardevoir during this tournament. And then he decided not to play Lugia, so I could have played Rapid Strike and been fine. And I ended up hitting, at this point, 3 lost boxes already in the tournament with Gardy, so it was a little annoying. I do win the coin flip, and we are going to play the Artisan down here after we use our concealed cards with Greninja to discard an energy and draw 2 more cards. So always want to use the Greninja first before using any search cards, because that means that you could always potentially draw into a Pokemon that you would have otherwise searched for. So definitely good by me. Also, why is Alan not playing on a mat? He usually has a Radiant Eevee mat that he really likes, and I didn't question it when he wasn't playing with a mat, but I'm questioning it now, Alan. What the heck? So Alan keeps claiming that he's going to come over as well and start testing Obsidian Flames format so that we can get some videos both on stream and potentially to YouTube as well of that. Hopefully after this cup is done being uploaded, we will have that up. But he flaked last week, so we'll see if he doesn't flake this week. I don't blame him though. So I do end up using my Mew to get into a Battle VIP pass. Also, it's kind of unsettling because Alan's entire face is on camera. It's cut off in your view, but on my view, I just he keeps just looking around as I'm playing my turn, and I keep locking eyes with video Alan, and it's a little unnerving. But yeah, so we grab the Battle VIP pass, we use the Battle VIP pass, we get a couple more Ralts into play. You always want to load up with as many Ralts as possible, because getting Ralts into play is good because they evolve into Kirlia, which gets you cards, so that's great. And then we just pass the turn there. So not a pretty good start from me, and I double check to make sure that my camera is recording because I have issues. I'm that guy who's always like, wait, did I leave the oven on? And I never use the oven, by the way. I never use my oven. So Alan starting with a pretty bad hand. As you can see, he doesn't really have much of anything, and he's going to have to research. So he gets rid of a V-Guard energy, hoping to get into the double turbo energy. And I told him, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty big risk, but if you get it, it's going to pay off. And he does, in fact, get the double turbo energy. So he is going to Trinity Charge, and I'm going like this with my fist. I'm like, don't get it, don't get it, don't get it, don't get it. And he got it. So losing the V-Guard energy could be potentially relevant because it does reduce the damage output of my Zacian V. And I do play the Sky Seal Stone specifically for this matchup because it can get a little dicey against Umbreon VMAX specifically. They can use the ability when they evolve the Umbreon to bring one of your bench Pokemon active, which is always the Gardevoir EX, and then the Umbreon then hits it for weakness, doing 160 times 2 is 320, which is 10 more than you need to knock out the Gardevoir EX. So, in order to give my opponent potentially one less turn to win the game, I play the Sky Seal Stone. Again, just for this exact matchup. So we use Concealed Cards and Refinement. We've got 4 energy in the discard pile already, so it's looking pretty good. I've already got 1 Kirlia in play, but I'm looking for 1 to 2 more. So I am going to go for the Iono here. And the thing that I really like about Iono is such a, I used to hate N. I used to despise N with a burning passion. I actually love Iono. I think Iono is such a well-balanced card in comparison to N. Because N, you would just shuffle your hand back into the deck, and then you could redraw some of those same dead cards. I can use all my refinements and concealed cards before the Iono and not get punished for it because I'm still seeing the exact same amount of cards deep, whether I use the refinements first or after. Of course, now I do use the level ball, which then reshuffles my deck, so... But that is the double-edged sword of the Iono, so... we will be putting some of those cards that I didn't quite want back into the deck. But it's nice to have the option to use those refinements first. Because I could have always potentially, like, drew into a research that might have been better, depending on what was in my hand. And I am definitely looking for Rare Candy Gardevoir. I do have the Gardevoir EX here. So I'm going to refinement yet again and hope to God I can find that Rare Candy. And if I don't, I still have the Mew to be able to get there. So I do have that Mew active. So I'm going to choose now. Even though I have an Ultra Ball, I could Ultra Ball for the Kirlia and then use refinement. And then use the Mysterious Tail. But using the Mysterious Tail first can... hopefully get me the rare candy that I need in order to be able to get a good attack off this turn. So 2 battle VIP passes in there. A little bit unfortunate, but now I have one more card in my hand that's dead that I can just discard to grab that Kirlia. So I honestly still feel pretty fine here. I'm considering getting rid of the Iono because I know I'm just going to be drawing a bunch of cards next turn, and I'd rather be playing boss to get rid of the Umbreon. Also, since I don't get the Rare Candy Gardevoir, it's also still pretty fine for me because if I did get Rare Candy Gardevoir, I would also have to have Zacian boss knockout on the Umbreon because otherwise the Umbreon could just evolve and knock me out. So, it is honestly better that I didn't go Rare Candy here, even if I had drawn into the Rare Candy. So now we're going to use that second refinement here, and I do get rid of an Ultra Ball. I do find a level ball. I could use the level ball to find the last Ralts if I have one in deck, but I am pretty sure that I did prize one this game. If I'm remembering correctly. Yep, and I just passed there. So perfectly fine passing, because my opponent did not do any damage on this last turn. And if he does use Umbreon or Boss's Orders, he will just be bringing up a Kirlia, and I'll still have 2 more Kirlia in play. But it can get a little scary because he is playing multiple Lost Cities, so if he does bring up a Kirlia, he can knock it out and put it into the Lost Zone. But yeah, still really happy with my setup. He's going to go for the Nest Ball here. He does have access to the Starbirth now that he's evolved into the Arceus V-Star. He could always, like, Starbirth for Adventurer's Discovery and then get the Umbreon VMAX, pull up a Kirlia. Yeah, he could get, like, Adventurer's Discovery and... yeah, or he already has the Umbreon VMAX in hand. But, like, Adventurer's Discovery with the Lost City. But we do see Adventurer's Discovery is already in hand, so he doesn't even have to search for that. So he's going to be able to get multiple Pokemon into his hand here. So it looks like we're going to go for a second Arceus V-Star, the second Umbreon VMAX, as well as a Pikachu V-Star, Pikachu V. Flying Pikachu V. I actually played on PTCG Live. I played against a surfing Pikachu Baxcalibur deck. I thought it was really funny. A very easy matchup for Gardevoir, but very funny still. You do hit lightning weakness. And you do 30 to their whole bench, so I would assume it's actually pretty good against Lawsbox, potentially. So we are going to evolve to that Arceus V-Star, and we're going to evolve to the Umbreon. He's got that play Pokemon one, which is really cool. And then he's thinking about benching the flying Pikachu as well. It does give him a free retreat pivot if he wants to decide to do a different Pokemon. Now he's going to Starbirth. Definitely going to be getting that Lost City if he doesn't already have that. Taking his time with his decision there. Yeah, it definitely wants to Lost Zone my Kirlia line, because then I can't Super Rod them back in. So he goes for Judge Lost City, so that's pretty good. I do not have too many cards in hand, but I will be building up a bigger hand for next turn, so he grabbed that for then. So yep, those Kirlia and Ralts do go to the Lost Zone, sideways above the prize cards. Big sad. And I just promote the Mew again. And I'm going to just start playing my turn because Alan and I know each other pretty well. So I know that he's not going to... You know, we don't care. We just want to save time. It is technically correct to wait to promote and to draw for turn until after the Trinity Nova. But again, those seconds to minutes could really matter. So Fog Crystal for a Psychic Energy. That way I can use Greninja's concealed cards again. And then I can chain Refinements. And we got to remember that Alan does have that Judge in hand. Alan also, you can't see it, but I can, taking a sip of his 3-liter bottle of Poland Spring. Honestly, if Alan ever becomes like a big name in Pokemon, if he just has a really hot year, he should really get a Poland Spring sponsorship, because he carries around so many like 3 liters and gallon bottles of Poland Spring that he drinks all the time. Oh, it's so funny. He likes to stay hydrated. It's good. You should always stay hydrated. I actually did have a equally large jug of water for this tournament because it was very hot in this place. But this feature match table, we're actually table 3, but we played at table 1 because table 1 ID'd. And then I didn't have to move my camera. Plus, it was plugged into the wall already at this point, and because my power brick died. So I kind of didn't want to have to play around with moving it to certain different tables. But we are right next to the window, and it was actually pretty nice outside, so we got a nice breeze. There was AC and a fan in the other room, and the window open in this room. So normally this room is the hottest in the building, but didn't end up being that way this time. So we've used our refinement, and we're going to now evolve into the Gardevoir and use Shining Arcana to draw a couple extra cards. We do have a rare candy here now, but that's not going to do too much relevant without access to the... without access to the Ralts in play. I'm like, my brain just like stopped. 37 minutes left in the match. I'm trying to count what I can do with Zacian. I do bench Zacian. I'm determined to attack with it here. And I do think I have double boss's orders in hand. So I go in my mind, I'm like, if he gets another Umbreon Beast Max, he can evolve and then knock out my Gardevoir EX and put it into the Lost Zone. So what I need to do is remove that idea from the equation and replace his stadium. So I go Temple of Sinnoh, which makes it so his Arceus can't attack unless he attaches another energy to it. And I'm deciding whether or not I want to attach Return to the View to try to conserve its HP. And that's definitely correct. We can fit more damage counters onto the Zacian just fine. And I'm going to go for the boss onto that basic Umbreon V. And the upsetting thing is I already have the Sky Seal Stone in hand right now. So what I want to do is knock out the Umbreon V Max this turn and take 4 prizes. But if my opponent does go for the Iono, then I could potentially go to a 2-card hand with only Gardevoir and Greninja as my draw options. Feels pretty bad. So it is a lot better to go for this now. But the other problem is if Gardevoir just gets, like, bossed up, I do lose. So, getting rid of the Umbreon here, definitely the play. And Alan did search for the Judge on the last turn, so it's more than likely that he's not going to be able to have a boss's orders in hand. He might even play less boss's orders in the deck because of the idea of the Umbreon. So I use my Psychic Embrace to put 5 energies onto my Zacian so I can do 210 damage and knock out that Umbreon. I also do 100 to myself with the Psychic Embrace. So just really hoping and praying that Gardevoir EX stays in play next turn. I could have put those last 2 Psychic Energies onto the Zacian as well, and then tried to Shining Arcana and attach my, for turn, my way into the energies that I need. But in case the Gardevoir does go down, but if he somehow just, like, misses the knockout or something, I want to keep those energies in the discard pile. So maybe it would have still been more correct to use the Psychic Embrace on the Zacian. But yeah, I just didn't want anything to get bossed and stalled. If Alan wanted to, like, just hard attach for turn or replace the stadium and then Trinity Nova and Lost Zone my Zacian. So, I don't know. I'm not sure which is the correct play, if I should have put the energy there or not. But Alan does Ultra Ball away the second Umbreon VMAX that he's had in hand since his Adventurer's Discovery, because he already had one in hand for the Adventurer's Discovery and then searched for a second one. So, not getting any value out of that is going to have to boss his orders his way to it. And he puts the V-Guard energy into play here on this, onto this Umbreon VMAX. And he's going to go for the Judge as well. He's considering. He's going to put the Alakazam down first. I like that. I'm not, like, I could boss stall it, but he plays double turbo energies, so that's not my ideal way to play the game. Because he could always just attach and retreat, especially if he removes the stadium. But the best thing here will be this Temple of Sinnoh. If this stays in play, it still shuts off the V-Guard energy. It's one colorless that has no additional effect. So, if the Temple of Sinnoh does leave play, if Alan is able to get a Stadium card here, I will actually have to get an additional energy card onto Zacian in order to take the knockout on this next turn. And since he's playing the Judge, I have to find my Sky Seal Stone again, and the 4 cards I draw off of this are pretty bad. I do get second Zacian, which is great, but the other 3 are just completely dead. So I'm gonna have to draw super hot off of my Shining Arcana in order to potentially get anywhere with this turn. Hopefully maybe find a supporter card, because yeah, I have Rare Candy, Battle VIP Pass, Gardevoir EX, Zacian V. You definitely have to play 2 Zacian V right now because of all the Arceus that are running around. And the Zacian does get discarded. I'm going to put all my energy back into the discard here. Remember, you can only have 1 discard pile, so if you want to effectively have 2 discard piles, sort your energies out. Do it exactly the way I have it now. They're all still technically in 1 pile, so it is within the rules. We're going to use our Shining Arcana, find another Rare Candy as well as something else, and I can use Mew to dig a little bit deeper as well. Maybe find a Fog Crystal if that isn't the card I already got, in order to discard an energy and draw 2 more with Greninja. And I did get the Sky Seal Stone off of the Gardevoir, so that's huge. So I can take a 4 prize turn potentially now. So I am going to use my Mew. And what card is it that I'm looking for? Yeah, I get the Fog Crystal here? Yeah. And I used the Fog Crystal to get the Psychic Energy that was already within that search. Again, cutting corners a little bit to save time. We only have 30 minutes left in the match, and this is game 1. And oh, I think what I needed was, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so I need to discard this Psychic Energy and then find one more to attach for turn. And I do get the research here. So I'm going to bench Zacian Sky Seal Stone. Yeah, so I got the Sky Seal Stone off of the Gardevoir, and then I get the research off of the concealed cards, and I just need to draw into an energy card to attach for turn. I get it on the second to last card off of the research. I can now attach for turn to the Zacian, and then I'm just counting for Alan that I have it. So I'm counting out loud for him to, not only am I double checking in my brain, yeah, so I like go, okay, this is 340 and the Temple of Sinnoh shuts off your V-Guard energy. So I'm going to flip my V-Star marker. And Alan here is just double counting as well to make sure. And he scoops here. Okay, so this should be about where I left off. Basically everything died and I had to reboot my computer. The only thing that was left alive was OBS. My mic's audio output died. My YouTube that plays the music in the background crashed. And the video player that I'm watching this back from, the Windows Media Player, whatever it is that I'm playing on, also crashed. Like, literally just, like, everything went down simultaneously, so I'm gonna have to splice this back together. I put the round timer about where it was, and I tried to put the video back to about where it was, because I did manage to check all of that before I shut my computer down. So I gave it a few minutes, got some dinner, got a new bottle of water, and we're back in it. You gotta love technology sometimes. You can't live with it, you can't live without it. It's been a while since I've had to actually edit one of these, but it'll be easy. So we do see that we both start with a basic Pokemon, so no mulligans here. And we do have about maybe 27, 28 minutes left on the clock, so as long as I started that at the right time. And it will be pretty self-explanatory when time is called, because I made sure that we are aware. So we do start with the Battle VIP Pass. I'm going to grab the Radiant Greninja and the Mew. I'm likely going to use concealed cards and also retreat the Ralts into the Mew in order to use the Mysterious Tail and hope to find yet another Battle VIP Pass. That would be really great here. Also, because of how hot it was at this tournament, our sleeves got really gunky really fast. So by round 2, my brand new sleeves already felt like week-old sleeves. Like, it felt like how my sleeves felt after playing the entirety of NAIC. Like, at round 2. So I'm actually I'm struggling a lot to shuffle these cards. And I always feel like I'm like a little superstitious. I always feel like I draw the best when my sleeves slide together all nice, like when they're brand new sleeves. So I do get double Ralts here with my first Battle VIP Pass for the turn, or second Battle VIP Pass here for the turn. Before even getting to retreat into my Mew, I just started double Battle VIP Pass. You'll love to see it. So that does certainly help me out quite a bit. I do have a Gardevoir EX as well as, it looks like a couple of Ultra Balls and a Rare Candy. So I am going to retreat and use the Mysterious Tail. Let's see if we can find another Battle VIP Pass or a Level Ball or a Fog Crystal. Nope, looks like we do fail that. But that is fine. I could use the Ultra Ball here. I do also have a Fog Crystal, but I've already used concealed cards. So I do think that it is fine to just pass here. So So I think I am going to... Yeah, so I just say pass as I'm shuffling. So you always want to do that. Like, if you can wait until shuffling your deck is at the end of your turn, allow it so your opponent can play their turn while you're shuffling. Just save some time. And it's kind of funny. My discard pile is Battle VIP Pass Psychic Energy, Battle VIP Pass Psychic Energy. So we are immediately going for the Starbirth here from Alan. Gets a V-Guard energy as well as his attachment for turn. Turn 1 was the double turbo energy. So this Arceus is all ready to go. And he's already eyeing up that Judge. And as we can remember, I do have Rare Candy Gardevoir EX in hand, which I would love to keep. And he might be trying to go for the Lost City as well. Although you don't really want to use that until you know you're taking out a Ralts or Kirlia. So using Adventurer's Discovery here, we're going to be allowed to search our deck for any 3 Pokemon V. So likely going to get double Umbreon and maybe an Umbreon VMAX as well would be pretty great. That way you could use the Umbreon VMAX next turn if I do get the Rare Candy Guardy EX. That would be cool. We do have the Lost City in hand already so that we can get rid of the Kirlia. Again, you want to save the Lost City for when you're getting rid of Ralts or Kirlia. Or Gardevoir EX. So no Judge this turn, not only because we have an evolution in hand, but we also use the Adventurer's Discovery. And now we just go for the Trinity Nova. We're going to knock out this Mew and search our deck for any 3 basic energies. Now this is really funny. I do specifically remember this part. He's going to get 0 darkness energies out of his deck here. He's going to get lightning and fighting energies exclusively. And he splits the energy amongst his 2 Umbreon, which tells me that every single dark energy that's in his deck is in his hand or prizes. Which means that since he has the Umbreon in hand already, if I'm somehow able to knock out this Arceus V-Star and Iono him at the same time, he has absolutely no response. And that could straight up win me the game. So can I get enough energies into the discard pile to be able to put that together? And that is 100% what I'm going for. I'm also hopefully going to find the Temple of Sinnoh, so I need 1 less energy as well. But if we just get all of the energies in the discard pile, it won't matter. But the thing is, I only have the 1 Concealed Cards and 2 Refinement to potentially get me there. But this Ultra Ball does discard 2 energies. So we might just potentially see that happen as Alan takes another giant swig out of his 3-liter Poland Spring. So he's going to cut my deck up good to make sure that I don't draw into anything that I need, hopefully. And we get a Zacian V. That's part of the way there. But again, I don't have another Kirlia in hand. I could Ultra Ball, which would thin my hand too much in order to get the next Kirlia. So this hand really doesn't have much to work with. At the very least, it would be really nice to see like an Professor's Research even to just try to build something together here. I do have the Rare Candy and the Ultra Ball, so I could just go for the... I could just try to go for the Gardevoir EX. Oh no, I have the Gardevoir EX in hand. Yeah, so I could... I'm thinking about whether or not I want to play the Ultra Ball here. I could just risk it and swing with the Gardevoir EX and then just try to find another one next turn. But that's not what I'm going for here, it looks like. Yeah, I honestly think maybe the correct play here was just Rare Candy into the Gardevoir EX on the active, and then Psychic Embrace as many energies to myself and the Zacian on the bench as possible, just like bench the Zacian. So that then even if I don't find a Gardevoir on the next turn, I still have a Zacian to swing with. But I am going to opt for the Kirlia to try to find myself an Iono or research, discarding the rare candy and showing him that I had that whole combo. But all that I draw is a regular Gardevoir as well as a Super Rod. So getting really punished for that play, that was definitely a misplay. Should have just gone rare candy, Gardevoir, swing. Because the Gardevoir also ignores V-Guard energy because it guards you from Vs, not from EXs. And I just pass here with the Ralts active. Also, if I did have another Psychic Energy I could have attached for turn, I could have attached that to the Ralts and memory skip to the Arceus, forcing it to retreat. Now, I know Alan has that Umbreon, and he likely has multiple Dark Energy in hand. We see the attach for turn onto this Umbreon here, and we're going to boss up one of the Kirlias, keeping that Umbreon in hand. And we're going to see the Lost City Trinity Nova to keep charging up more of these Pokemon here. So I would say probably just one more energy to the one that has the Darkness Energy on it would be fine, because it only needs one Darkness Energy to attack, and then you have the one in hand you can attach to the other. But it looks like maybe there's just not any energies left in the deck. Or opting to just hard attach next turn. Either way is fine. And I promote my Kirlia because I know I'm going to need to get into the Gardevoir EX this turn no matter what. And hopefully get a big knockout. So I'm going to discard my Penny. And there is the Iono. It was a couple more cards deep. And I do have Rare Candy again. So now I can Rare Candy into the regular Gardevoir. Not as good, but still fine. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference which one I evolve. So I'm going to Super Rod back in the Gardy EX and the Zacian that I foolishly discarded earlier. That way I have a better odds of redrawing back into them. And we're going to want to play our Iono here, I believe, because we do know that that will put that Umbreon VMAX back on the bottom of the deck. Although it does make it easier for Alan to Trinity Nova the Darkness Energy back into play if I don't do that. Just put my one card hand to the bottom of my deck and Iono. Now, can I piece together a one-shot on this Arceus with Zacian? I need Gardevoir EX, and I need Zacian, and I need even more energies in the discard pile. I have one Shining Arcana. I have a Concealed Cards if I draw into an energy off of the Shining Arcana. I bench another Ralts. Here's Shining Arcana. Gonna put them both in hand, neither of which are energies. And this is bad, because now that Kirlia is going to stay active, and we're going to have that Lost City still be in play. So Alan could choose to Lost Zone this Kirlia, and that would be devastating for me, because that means I have to find yet another rare candy. I'm already down 2 of my 3. So what's the likelihood I can even get there? So this game is looking very unwinnable for me at this point. Alan has already taken 2 prize cards as well. And I'm still, like, thinking way too hard about it. I put the Manaphy down just to thin my hand of it. And I'm deciding whether or not I want to play this level ball. I do have the Gardevoir EX. Right. So I do evolve into the Gardevoir EX. And I am going to just swing into this Arceus. Or no, I retreat. Oh, yeah, I want to save the Gardevoir EX from getting knocked out, because I know I'm down the rare candies. So I do retreat into the regular Gardevoir. I would rather have it go down, and we're going to load it up as hard as we can, because I know that now if Alan does knock out the Gardevoir EX, that I will still be able to attack with this Gardevoir on the next turn to 2-shot. So I'll still be behind quite a bit, but the game will still be potentially winnable to me. So here comes Adventurer's Discovery I Iono'd him into, so he's just going to be able to find double Umbreon VMAX. As well as maybe just another Pokemon to bench if he decides to, if he wants to bench a Pika. The Pika-Pee. Gets another Arceus V, that's fine. Those energies are Iono'd back into the deck, so can definitely go for another Trinity Nova without having to really worry about it. Gets 2 Arceus Vs, in fact. So he's going to use the Umbreon, bring up the Gardevoir EX. Yeah, so my plan now is to boss up the other Umbreon, knock it out with the Guardy that I already have charged up, and evolve the Ralts into Kirlia. I do still have the other Guardy EX in deck. And this gives me another turn to potentially find the out to the Lost City. So now I have 5 Pokemon in my Lost Zone. I could cram now. If I was playing cram, I could cram. So yeah, just promote this. And then the best course of action is to just evolve the Ralts, find a new stadium, and then boss the Umbreon and knock it out. Because we are doing quite enough. We are doing 110 right now, exactly. So I did piece this turn together pretty well. I do also have an Iono. I can Iono him to 2. And again, still hopefully find the out to the... I do have a Temple of Sinnoh in hand. So yeah, play the Temple of Sinnoh. Boss the Umbreon. I haven't realized it yet. I haven't realized how good of a play I made. I haven't pieced it together in my mind yet. So here comes the Temple of Sinnoh. Getting rid of the Lost City. Oh, I can't Iono him and boss at the same time. But by using the boss, that makes it so he's less likely to get an Umbreon off, which means he has to have exactly boss's orders in order to knock out the Kirlia. But if he does knock out the Kirlia, he does win the game. And what does he have in his hand here? He does have a Darkness Energy. I think he has a Research. So I Shining Arcana into 2 more cards. It's Collapse Stadium Worker, so I guess I could have held off on the Temple of Sinnoh until after the concealed cards. Then I could have gone Collapse Stadium instead. But I guess it does make it so it does force the Umbreon to attack next turn again, if I do go for the boss. So boss the little Umbreon. I'll be able to take a 2-prize knockout on that. And then as long as I can not have this Kirlia get knocked out, I can evolve it to the EX, bench a Zacian, and then all of this energy that's on the Gardevoir right now will be in the discard pile, and I can maybe load up a giant Zacian in order to win the game with Sky Seal Stone by knocking out the VMAX. So I've still pieced it together pretty well, but will it work out for me the way I want it to? So Alan, of course, top decks Ultra Ball, and he is going to be able to discard any 2 cards to get the Luminion. So I think, I don't know, it's rough, because if I Iono'd him, I'm only hitting into the Umbreon VMAX to try to 2-shot it. So I guess what I did was still correct, but Alan just top decked the Ultra Ball to have it. So if there was a way I could have bossed and Iono'd in the same turn, that would have been super great, but unfortunately, that's not a thing. So we do go into a game 3. We have about 11 minutes left on the clock. Alan immediately says, "Gentleman's agreement?" And I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "Buy prizes?" I go, "Yep." Obviously, this is a win-and-in situation for both of us. Both of us need to win this round in order to be able to make it into the top 8 cut. So we really do have to get a winner here. We can't just take another tie. So this game does have to finish. So we will be playing as fast as possible in order to get a true conclusion to it. But if there is no true conclusion, it will be by whoever has taken the most prize cards. So that is something that you can always do at your own locals if you get to a Game 3 or if you're at a League Cup or Challenge or whatever. And I think I'm explaining, like, what happened last game, like, if I could have gotten it or not. Also, I noticed my bottom card. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was going to say my bottom card wasn't changing there, which means I wasn't shuffling well enough, but then it did at the end. It's just hard to shuffle when your deck's that clammy. So we set up as fast as possible. Still have about 10 minutes left on the clock here. And we are going to get going. So I started off. I do have a Battle VIP pass as well as a couple Psychic Energies, so I shouldn't be able to be punished. And I'm going to be off to the races here. You can see my pace of play going a lot faster because I know exactly what I need to accomplish in order to win this game, and that's take as many prize cards as possible. If I can get to Rare Candy Gardevoir turn 2 and just swing with a Zacian on a 2-prizer, I should be favored to win the match, especially with Alan starting this Umbreon V. It's going to be that much harder for him to get a Trinity Nova off or a Trinity Charge off on this next turn. So I'm going to be really digging for Rare Candy Guardy. That really helps me in this exact situation, especially going first. And it's great. It's great that I ended up winning Game 1 and losing Game 2, because in Game 3 that allows me to go first. Had I lost Game 1 and won Game 2, then my opponent gets to go first, and it makes it that much harder for me to win Game 3. So we are going to shuffle up here off this Fog Crystal. We ended up getting another Ralts, trying to fill our bench as much as possible. And now we're going to go for the Greninja Concealed Cards to draw 2 more cards. We do get Rare Candy Curlia, and I think we already have... Yes, we do. We have the EX in hand already, so I do just pass. So I have 4 Ralts, and I have the 70 HP Ralts active. So even if he does go for the main look with the Umbreon, he will not knock me out. So it's great that I was able to start with that. The only problem is 4th Ralts is the 60 HP one, so if he's able to boss that up and mean look it, he would take a knockout, which would be a little bit annoying, but still kind of fine. We see the Adventurer's Discovery come out here. We're going to see him search for 3 Pokemon V. He does have to bench the Luminion to find the Adventurer's Discovery, but he's going to be able to get maybe a couple maybe one Arceus, another Umbreon V, and an Umbreon V Max would be pretty cool here. Looks like we're going double Arceus V and the Umbreon V Max, so that's the other thing I would have said. So either way is fine. In case I get really lucky and knock out one Arceus, maybe he can get the other one powered up on the next turn to attack. So we do have a V-Guard energy we can attach for turn. We're going to slap that onto one of our Arceus Vs. And an Escape Rope here. So you see me almost put up the 60 HP Ralts, but then that's when I recognize that the mean look could be a thing, potentially. So I put up the 70 HP one instead. And now, since he's switching out of the Umbreon, it doesn't really matter, but that's why I chose the other 70 HP Ralts. So here we go. We're going to use our concealed cards to draw 2. I think I top-decked that Psychic Energy. Again, another 6.5 minutes left on the clock-ish. I'm trying to piece together exactly how I want to do this. I want to draw as many cards as possible, get as many energy cards into the discard pile as possible, and play as fast as possible. So we end up getting into a level ball off of this Curlia. We're able to go for a second Curlia. You see me zooming through my deck. I'm like, Curlia, 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 Curlia. Where is the Curlia? Throw it down. Because I know at the very least, like, this game could have, like, not finished, but... And we could have taken the tie, but I don't want to go 2-0-3 at a cup. That feels pretty bad. We go for another Curlia, getting rid of the Battle VIP Pass. Not as ideal as an energy card, but still okay. And I do have the Rare Candy Guardy I could go for if I want to do it now. Looks like, am I Ultra Balling for another Curlia? That sounds about right. So we're getting rid of Worker Palpad. Palpad, not something you want to get rid of super early, but with the way my hand is built, it's perfectly fine. I've had Rare Candy Guardy EX from the start, but I want to make sure that I can get to Zacian exactly. I guess if I do whiff it, I could always just go attack with the Guardy EX active, which wouldn't be too bad. I could also just go for a Moonglow reverse as well if I can find my way to the Cresselia. And I do have an Artisan, so I'm going to go Rare Candy Guardy, and I'm going to go Iono, putting the Artisan back into my deck because I do know that Alan does have access to multiple Lost Cities, so I want to keep that to be able to replace the Stadium. And I do draw into Cresselia, but I also draw into Energy and Ultra Balls here. So what exactly do I have available to me? Alan has not yet used a Trinity Nova, so I could always use the Cresselia, but then I'm realizing here, if I use the Cresselia to attack, the problem will be that my energy will start being spread out from my Pokemon, and I'll be less likely to be able to one-shot a VMAX later in the game if I can't retreat those energies back off, or get those Pokemon knocked out first. So again, we are racing. We're trying to figure out exactly how we can go to win the game, or get ahead in the game as fast as possible. Another 3.5 minutes left on the clock, so my mind is all over the place right now. In the game, not at the moment for myself, but we are just gonna go for the Gardevoir swing, I believe, right? Yeah, so we do. I'm not threatened by the Umbreon just yet. I know this Gardevoir will survive another turn, so swinging with it here is perfectly fine. And I could always Sky Seal Stone, Zacian, the Arceus V-Star on the next turn, and then win the game off of a VMAX as well. So we'll see. So we see the double Arceus V-Star evolution. We do have a Lost City here as well, but that's not going to do too well for him right now. We are going to see the V-Star power, Alan flipping over his V-Star marker, which is that cool full art Buzzwole GX that is CGC graded. I talked him into buying that. He's like, I want it so bad. I would use it as my V-Star marker. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, is it worth, like, I think it was like 20 bucks, something like that. And I'm like, well, if you grade a card, it's going to cost you like 20 bucks. So you might as well just buy it. Funnily enough, it was the first card to ever have Jet Punch on it before Palafin, because Palafin's signature moves are Flip Turn and Jet Punch in the video game, Jet Punch being a water type attack. And but in the TCG, we had Jet Punch on Buzzwole, which did 30 and then 30 to the bench. So the new Palafin that came out in this new set, Obsidian Flames, does also have the exact same Jet Punch that the Buzzwole did, so it's a nice callback to that. So we see Alan does judge us into a completely different hand here. It's going to be weird if we can really get to that or not. Get to what we want to. So we are going to just get knocked out. So I'm just adding up how much damage is supposed to be there so that I can put the markers on correctly. So I'm at 210 damage. You see those nice 200 or 220, 230, 240. Yeah, that sounds right. 240. So I still have HP left. I do have another Iono. We're just playing our turn while Alan is doing his Trinity Nova. He gets an energy to the Umbreon. I almost think you might have wanted to go 2 to the Umbreon and 1 to the Arceus, and then use a double turbo, but I think this is fine still, too, because the Gardevoir EX can get knocked out by an Arceus now. So here I use another Refinement. We're going to get rid of a Curlia. Don't need that this game. We do find Level Ball. I could Level Ball for, like, the Manaphy, just to thin my deck of that. But I just go ahead and use the Refinement because I'm just trying to race, not playing as optimally as possible because I am just trying to get as far as possible into the game, be ahead on prize cards. I do remove the Path to Peak. I could have left it in play here, but the problem is he probably only plays the one path, and I want to make sure if he judges me, I still have access to a stadium. So I just replace it preemptively here. And I don't think there's a way I can take the knockout with the Cresselia. I do try to do the math. I think I needed 90, and I'd only have 3 energy in the discard pile. So not quite where I would need to be. I think I could potentially pull it off, but then again, my energies will be too spread wide, and I can't really afford that when I know I need to Zacian later. So I just bench the Cresselia just to thin it out of my hand in case I get judged again. And we are in time, it says on my count, but I'm not sure if we actually are just yet. I think we are. I think they called time on my turn. So we're going to conceal cards, get another Psychic into the discard pile. And you see my pace of play did slow a little bit, so we're definitely in time. So I'm not racing as much, so I'm making sure I play optimally. So I'm deciding whether or not I want to attack with the Gardevoir EX into the Arceus. And I think it's honestly fine. My opponent will take 2 prizes, which is not ideal, but I don't have access to a Shining Arcana Gardevoir just yet, so I can't Brainwave him for the knockout, which is what I would really want to do. I could retreat my Gardevoir EX into one of the Kirlias, evolve to Shining Arcana, use Shining Arcana, and then Psychic Embrace to it and Brainwave. Just put like 3 energies on my Gardevoir would be fine even. So yeah, I do just swing, take the 2-shot with my Gardevoir EX. And Alan has to put up his Arceus, and as you can see, the way he's playing his hand, throwing his hand down, he's a little bit upset right now. Because he was hoping to try to be ahead during this game. And we really do need to decide a winner if either of us wants to make it in. If we both tie, I think neither of us make it in. And that makes it so one more 3-2 makes it in. I think there were 22 Masters at this tournament, I want to say. So uses another Adventurous Discovery, just thinning his deck of cards. Just because that's the only supporter option he has available to himself. He is going to attach to the Arceus, bench a Flying Pikachu. And he's just going to Trinity Nova for the knockout to take 2 prize cards. Knocking out Gardy, and does not have the Lost City, so I can always Super Rod this Gardy back into the deck, but I do have another one in hand, I believe, so I will be able to just re-evolve after getting my refinement. And I draw for turn here. I moved all the damage counters off, but I'm like, wait a minute, why is my Gardevoir EX in the active spot? I'm like, oh, this is dead. So I'll fix that in a second. Alan doesn't really care, so. But that's definitely not correct. So yeah, now I put it into the Lost Zone at first here, but there is no Lost City. So do I fix that? I don't think I do. Do I? Like my head is like totally just trying to race to see how many prize cards I can take. If I can piece together a good Zacian turn here. So the thing is if I take the knockout on the Arceus V-Star now, I take 2 prizes. And this is turn 2. As you can see, my die I put out there. When he knocked me out, that was turn 1. Now I'm turn 2, and then Alan has the last turn of the game. So if I go Zacian, knock out Arceus, he then attacks me and then ties the game. And then we technically take a tie there. But so I'm going to try my best to Sky Seal Stone this turn, which will allow me to take 1 additional prize so that even if he does knock out my Zacian, that I will be able to be ahead on prizes at the end of his turn. So I'm counting my potential damage here. Yeah, the Gardevoir is still in the Lost Zone. It's not going to matter because I have one in hand. I'm not sure why I did that. The Artisan's in play. Maybe I just saw Stadium out of the corner of my eye and thought it went in the Lost Zone. And Alan clearly didn't catch that either. So we are going to go for the Fog Crystal for the Zacian V. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I put the Sky Seal Stone down. I use the ability. I retreat into the Zacian, and I hit for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 300 damage. Leaving 1 energy left in the discard pile. And he said, you don't have a Gardevoir EX in play, sir. And I go, oh, yeah, that's right. And then I put it down. So I did have it. And since I Sky Seal Stone, I take 3 prize cards. And there was one of our guys that we know was onlooking, a couple of them actually, were wondering why I Sky Seal Stoned, because that means that Alan could Iono me to 1 less card in hand. But as I already explained, if Alan takes the knockout here on the Zacian or on the Gardevoir EX, he goes down to 2 prizes remaining. He is turn 3 of time. So, because of our gentleman's agreement, we are deciding whoever is up on prizes will win. And see, there I am marking it with the die, turn 3. We just see Alan attaching to the Flying Pika, and he's going to just take the swing with the Umbreon VMAX. And research, oh god. I'm like, what is he discarding? Not that it matters, this is the last turn of the game. So Alan pretty upset he was not able to close this game out, and I did. And I also, off my prize cards, managed to take my next Zacian. So since all that he's doing is knocking out my Zacian in the active spot, if I did have 1 more turn, I would have been able to just bench the Zacian and do the same thing again and one-shot the Umbreon. And yeah, I show him, I'm like, I have the Zacian, so I would just attack again and knock you out, and I would have taken 8 prize cards that game. So, as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I do make it to the top 8, but unfortunately, I hit my 4th lost box of the day. It is Tori, our friend, who we lost to in top 4 of the last League Cup we played at, where he was playing Guardian, I was playing Rapid Strike, but he's playing Lost Box. So he takes a very clean 2-0 against me. Game 2 was really close. Game 1 was not. So it was very unfortunate. I walk out of this with only 25 CP, but with the amount of players we had, 22 Masters, it would have been a 0 CP top 8 finish if Pokemon had not changed it to a 21 person for both, a 21 person kicker for both top 8 cut and top 8 points. Because it used to not be that. It used to be top 8 was at 21 players, and then top 8 points was at 24 players. But they just changed that like a week ago. So thankfully, I do get to walk out of this with now a total of 119 CP towards the 600 I need for Worlds. And kinging Alan in the nuts in the process, unfortunately. I'm just changing out a couple of sleeves before I get deck checked, just to make sure that I don't have any potentially bent corners or just weird looking cards that stand out. And yeah, we'll see you guys for top 8